I didn't know my mismanagement of email would make it to this stage, but I was familiar with BIF before. I just have digital clutter problems. So just out of curiosity, by a show of hands, how many people have heard of Story? How many people have been to Story? Oh, fun, not that many people. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my story and then a news story. Lots of news stuff today. I've never worn sneakers on stage, so that's fun. But my mom and dad are here, and this is a picture of me when I was 12 years old, and that is relevant to the story because I'm a fourth-generation retailer. And my mother brought me to New York City when I was 12 to go to the Jacob Javits Center to go, of course, and buy my bat mitzvah favors wholesale. And so she was there for work, going aisle after aisle after aisle sourcing product, and I was there looking for stuff for my bat mitzvah. And then I looked at her after a few aisles, and I asked that question that would change my life, which was, you can shop for a living? So I knew what I would do when I grew up. And fast forward a few years, and it's led to what is now a space in Manhattan that is 2,000 square feet that has the point of view of a magazine. We reinvent it entirely every 4 to 8 weeks like a gallery, and we sell things like a store. So I had met Stefan Sagmeister and Jessica Walsh, two amazing and inspiring designers, and sat down with them to work on our brand, right? And it was an interesting challenge. How are we going to create a brand that sticks, but that's always changing, and that's constant, but versatile? So we came up with the name Story, and they did an amazing job looking at it in a way that it could invite different forms of conversation. So when you walk into this space, you're greeted by the story wall. This was our wellness story, making things story, home for the holidays story. All in all, we've done 18 stories. So at the heart of this, I look at the model as retail media. What do I mean? Well, we're familiar with the cover of a magazine, and this is InStyle's color issue. And this is the cover of our color issue. And when you walk into the store, you see things that are merchandised by color, and that's our version of content, is merchandise and events in the way a magazine might write stories and take pictures. And a magazine has advertisers, and we have sponsors. And you open up that magazine, and you have the letter from the editor with cool products and a big Clinique ad right next to it. And you walk into our store, and you see the color story wall with a Benjamin Moore ad. But what's interesting here isn't just that I get a paycheck from Benjamin Moore and now I have 2 revenue streams. What it is that I have a brand reaching a consumer in a new format that's contextually relevant, and they're adding authority to a conversation that really I'm no expert in. And so we translate that throughout the experience by adding in other product and using merchandise as content. Another way we did this was during our His Story. We partnered up with a small company called Procter & Gamble and a couple other ones, Details Magazine for men and Birchbox Man. And it was at the same time that Details had come out with their grooming issue. And I mention that because we wanted to look at how can we take pages of a magazine and bring it to life offline. So in the magazine, they had their Best of Grooming Awards with these big seals. So we walked over to our friends at Quirky and 3D printed some seals and put them adjacent to different products. And then we had a plexi ad in the window that had Gillette and Braun's logo. So in theory, right, you have CVS brands and products next to products you'll find at Neiman Marcus and Barney's. And then, of course, why not have a hot towel shave station in a store window? And it gave consumers a way to really experience the brand in a new way. So that brings me really to one of the biggest things that we're allowed to do by having this living advertising environment, so to speak. And one thing I've spent a lot of time thinking about lately is, we're the same people who live online who live offline, right? So if there's been 20 years of incessant digital and technological innovation, and yet you still have retailers sitting there at their desks saying, we're dying, department stores are dying, but nothing has changed. And what I mean by that is online, you have discovery platforms, you have subscription retail models, you have crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, new consumer behavior, new economics. And all retailers do is talk about sales per square foot. So I propose we rewrite the rules to experience per square foot. So this is our Making Things story. We partnered with General Electric to tell a story about making things. And I bring this up in the context of experience per square foot because 75% of our real estate in that store was pure experience. So you could make sunglasses, and you could 3D print bracelets, and there was a CNC mill and an injection molding machine, and only 25% of that store was transactional. You had kids, you had all different audiences coming together. And one of the questions I often get asked, right, is who is your demographic? Who is your audience? And I often say it's very narrow. It's men, women, and kids between 6 and 80. And it sounds silly, but if you really stop and think about it, right, all we are is we're a dating service, and we're playing matchmaker between brands and consumers through storytelling. So you get a kid excited about a laser cutter because you have a Pimp Your Pumpkin party, and they can make their own pumpkins with Mr. Potato Head faces. And then how do you get women really excited about these big techie machines? Well, all you have to do is get a world-renowned handbag designer like Rebecca Minkoff to come over and laser etch a one-of-a-kind handbag. And not to generalize, but usually guys get excited by toys and machines, and so that's what happened with this guy. This is Arthur Randall. He lives across the street. I didn't know Arthur until he came into the store one day, and he asked to speak with me, and he said, I've been coming to your store a bit. I live across the street, and I wanted to tell you something and wondered if you'd talk to me for a few minutes. And I said, sure. And he said, I'm a graphic designer, and it wasn't until I came into your Making Things story that I thought of my design as three-dimensional. I had never seen a 3D printer. I didn't know what a 3D printer was. And then I went home, and I just started thinking about my design in an entirely different way. And I made this prototype, and I made this product, and I was wondering if you would sell it in your store. So I got super excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we inspired you to make a product. And he goes, no, you didn't. He goes, you enabled me. And so I think that that's pretty awesome, right? You think of companies like General Electric and these big organizations. And granted, I realize this is one episode, but it can be multiplied. And so he has since moved back to London. He just completed his second product. And that leads me to what I'm obsessed with this year. So what I'm obsessed with is this idea of democratizing discovery. So we're all very familiar with Kickstarter, over $1 billion, with Etsy. The latest number, I think I just found, 28 million products on Etsy. I kind of couldn't believe that. Quirky, making invention accessible. You can even go to their offices and hang out with them and vote in real time. And now brands are catching on. J.Crew has enjoyed the past couple of years selling products from other designers to amplify and augment their collections. Anthropology has had pet adoption events and planting classes. And so really what this all has led to for me is thinking about if that's what's happening in bigger organizations and online, how can we democratize access in real life offline? So pitch night. Pitch night is my baby. It's my favorite new thing that we accidentally stumbled upon. So what happened was this, is just like a magazine gets pitch stories, we get pitch products, and a lot of products. And so I was thinking, okay, how can I see all these products, because it's my favorite part of the job, but I never have time to do it. And so I said, you know what, we'll just have a night, we'll have a party, people will come, tell their stories, pitch their product, awesome. And then I was thinking, okay, if you're a designer, a maker, a small brand, what do you want? You want sales, and you want press. So I called up friends at Cool Hunting. They do an annual gift guide that's quite coveted. I said, why don't you come and sit with me? You can meet people too, and let's see what happens. So all that happened was we posted on our website, and whenever anyone came into the store to pitch a product, we said, just show up at this date and time, and there was one rule. You just had to have a product that was ready to be sold. That was it. We didn't screen you. We accepted anyone. And there was amazing stuff. So, and a range of stuff, right? So these are necklaces. This is pottery from upstate New York. A kite in the shape of a boat. Apothecary from New Jersey. And a wide range of items. Amazing, amazing, amazing product. So now, looking at all those online discovery platforms, I became obsessed with how can we make a store a living discovery platform. So this is Beth Mockery. She was at our first pitch night. I'm wearing her necklace. You'll see it in a minute. She was a structural engineer who had been laid off, and she loved making jewelry, but it was her hobby. So she came and she pitched her product, and I saw it, and I freaked out. Now, you're probably sitting there being like, okay, nice necklace, but why are you freaking out? It's a hidden message, so there's letters on the bottom of it. But that's what happens every time you show someone, right? And you want to know who also got excited? Whoopi Goldberg. So Whoopi got excited, put her on The View, and now Beth Mockery's passion is her full-time job. There's a recent example that just happened literally a couple days ago, so I just put this in here. And I think one of the things, in terms of kind of connecting the dots, and at the end of the day, story's just a lab for me to test out all my geeky Rachel theories that I get excited about. And I was thinking about it, right? Why does a press release have to be on paper or go into your inbox? Why can't a retail store be a press release? And so our current story right now is style.tech, right? Everyone's talking about wearables, fashion tech, connected home. So we partnered with Intel to look at things that are smart on the inside and smart on the outside. And so there's this watch, Withings Activité. I'm just curious, has anyone seen it? Okay, so this is a wearable. It's walking, sleep, the whole 9 yards. And it's beautiful. It's not even for sale yet. So after some polite phone stalking, I was able to get their only samples in the country, and we put it in the store. And so you see the picture of it on the website. And then when we put people in the store, we have videos to tell their stories sometimes. We write bios. We have a full editorial team. So the day before the Apple made their announcement, there was a reporter from the LA Times who had come into the store, and he had seen this watch. And I get an email the next day saying, Rachel, I have to review the iWatch for the LA Times, and I'm obsessed with that new brand and that watch I found in your store. Can you send me the information so we can include them in the article? So he didn't get this from PR Newswire or from sitting in his desk. He got this from walking around a store, and he was able to connect the dots because we told him a story. We just didn't put a product in a case. And so lastly, if we're talking about a press release coming to life and kind of breaking down the stereotypes of how we think about communicating, whether it's B2B or B2C, I think it should all be one. This is Will Berman. He is the ripe old age of 17 years old. He came to a recent pitch night. My entire staff was obsessed with him, so he kind of had an advantage coming up. And he makes raw denim accessories, laptop cases, iPad, iPhone. And we loved it, and it was beautiful, and it was well made. And so I said, yes, let's put you in the store. So he went home, and he fulfilled a purchase order in his bedroom, like any 17-year-old would do. And then this is an example, it's as if it's a magazine where we do the layouts and the creative, and we change the voice and the tone for every story that we tell. And so for our holiday story this past year, he was in it. And so it's really no different than someone giving out a business card at a trade show or a line sheet. And we'll give you their website, and if you want their phone number, we'll give you that too. So much so that a store in London, a very hot, cool store in London, might I add, had, I guess, been shopping at Story, found out about Will, emailed him, so he's fulfilling more purchase orders outside of his bedroom. And that's a picture of his product in London on a table, I'm sure next to products that aren't made by 17-year-olds. And then we also introduced him to Scott Morrison, who started 3x1 Denim, which is the most sought-after denim retailer in the country. And Will was so excited to meet him. It was his version of a hero or a rock star. But what happened is he didn't just get to meet him, is Scott bought his product and put it in the store. And it sold so well that he's been reordering it. We brought him up on stage at PSFK. He was one of the top-rated speeches of the week. And he has become one of my heroes. So there's a couple other images because, I think at the heart of all of these things that I'm talking about today, the new thing that I'm obsessed with as of late is this concept of really democratizing access and discovery in a physical world. And if we're the same people who live offline, who live online, why can't we take those principles and translate them in a way that's meaningful and impactful? So whether you're 17 years old, or whether you're Martha Stewart, or whether you're a 60-year-old potter in upstate New York, I think there's a place for everyone to be seen and to be heard. This was Martha at our American Made story. She bought Detroit denim bag and then put it on her eBay store. And we even are a discovery platform for other retailers. So it's not the mantra of our industry, but I propose that it does someday soon become collaboration is the new competition, and everyone always asks, what's the next story? And I always say, you don't know what's on the cover of your magazine that you read before it comes out, so you'll have to come and visit. So thank you.